Hi, this is Art from Scrappy Mania, and today I'm going to go over how to refurbish this Montgomery Ward sewing machine. I got 3 sewing machines from church that they want me to recondition so that way we can I'll bring them back to church. And then what we usually do is we have sewing events at the church, and also if somebody needs a sewing machine, it gets donated to them. So we have 3 here that I need to recondition. And we have a Brother, a Kenmore, and this is a Montgomery Ward. So we're going to go with the Montgomery Ward. I had to go to a sewing machine center and get the foot pedal because we got donated this machine. It was missing the foot pedal, and I'm happy to say that I found a foot pedal. So one of the things you want to keep in mind if you get a machine, and to help you know if it's worth reconditioning or not, is that, let me bring you here. So what I usually look for when I plug it in, I want to see if it turns on. If the light turns on, it looks like. I also inspect the cords, so make sure, let me get one of these cords over here on this machine. As you can see, this cord, it looks intact, and I inspect the whole thing. So I just bought this cord for this machine, and it looks pretty intact. Okay, I bought it at the sewing machine center. It was I'm gonna have to clean it, but it only cost me 20 bucks. Not too bad, and it fits the machine. A lot of times these older machines, the problem with these Montgomery Ward and these older machines is that they don't have parts for it anymore. You find parts at sewing centers of other machines that people have left behind or donated, so they repurpose the parts. So this foot was from another probably Montgomery machine that they had, and so we were fortunate enough to find it. But if I wouldn't have been able to find the sewing machine that fits this, we wouldn't be able to use this machine, because if you look in the back here, let's look over here. Each machine has its own, let me turn it off. Each machine has its own way of the plug, how the plug is. And notice this one is like this. This is Montgomery Ward. If we go, let me look for my other foot. If you look at this one is different than this one. Okay. So it's not going to fit. So this is the Kenmore. And then I have another one on the floor here. Let me go. I've been reconditioning machines all day. I had a group of people come, some of my friends, and they needed help with their sewing machine, so I kind of helped them out. And we had all this whole area. So I spend most of the day taking care of other people's sewing machine. And then see this one, it's a different cord. So it's hard sometimes to find the parts for old sewing machine because they're so different. This one belongs to the Brother, and I'm going to put it over here. So that's one thing. So if you get a machine, so you find a machine at a thrift store, Montgomery Ward, make sure that you have all the pieces. Make sure you have a foot pedal. Make sure that it looks good, because if this is all frayed, you don't want to get that machine, even if for $5, unless you want to take pieces. Like, I will buy machines for $5 with the intention of breaking it apart so that way I can use the pieces for other machines. But if that's not what your intention is, then don't buy it. So you got to make sure that it's nice and intact, like this foot pedal. Then the other thing I will look at to make sure if I'm going to consider buying that machine is, and sometimes is, you go to a place that they, you don't have electricity, so you cannot plug it in, so you kind of taking a gamble that it's going to work or not. But what you need to look for, let me bring you over here, make sure, so if you look at here, make sure that, see how the feed dogs are moving? Let me take this off. See how the feed dogs are moving? that means that there's a gear in here that is working. If your feed dogs do not move, then the next thing you want to look and see if it has like something like this that says dawning and sew. If it's on dawning position, and I gotta clean it so I can bring it to dawning position. So usually you push it down. I gotta figure out why it's not going down. But usually you push it down and your feed dogs do not move, okay? So it stays in one place. But if you have it, if it has a dawning setting and it's not set and your feed dogs are not moving, then I would stay away from that machine because more likely there's a gear that's broken. The other thing you want to make sure is that there's not really, like this is missing. You can always buy a foot. These are universal. You can buy these. So if it's missing this and missing this and missing the needle, I'm good. But if it's missing this part where the needle latch on, I may consider not getting that machine because this part, you cannot really buy it anymore for a Montgomery ward. You sometimes have better luck. Now singers are still out there, so you can still find pieces for singers, but for Montgomery ward it's kind of difficult. The other thing you want to look and make sure that you don't see cords hanging out or anything that looks like this is chipped, anything that may be a safety hazard. And as you can see, this machine is pretty good, no big issues. So I'm going to go and show you how I recondition it. So let me go ahead and get you set up so that way you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's go from step one, how I recondition these machines. I always get a tray and I put all my pieces in the tray. I already took the needle out. I'm going to go ahead and take this piece out. Okay. I'm going to open the drawer. Let me see if you can see that. I'm going to open the drawer. Let me see if I can put this light from behind. Hope you can see that a little better. So right here, and I think I had a light. Let me go and find a light. Okay. So let's look at that. See right there. So you want to go ahead and clean this real good. And then I'm going to take this out. Okay, you push these out of the way and then pull that. And look, all that lint. That's what we're going to clean off. We really need to clean this piece. I put it in my container. This comes out. Put it in your container, and that's pretty much it. Now we're going to unscrew the top part. Okay, put it in the container, and then let me go over here. I hope the lighting is good. And let's take that out. You can take this whole piece out, okay? Now you can take, on this one, you need a little brush. So I got a little brush here. And we're going to make sure we get rid of all those dust. And sometimes the dust is so bad that even this doesn't work. So you need to get like a toothbrush. So let me get a toothbrush to really scrub that. So this is one of those brushes from Harbor Freight. And I really get in there and really clean that out. Let me take this out. And really clean, see these little dustings? You need to take that out. And I have this little tool. You get them, this dental pick, or even from Harbor Freight, they have these. Use that to kind of get rid of all that old accumulated gunk from oils and dust. Sometimes I do take the feed dogs off. Let me see if I would want to take it off. See if it's easy. So I couldn't take the feed dogs out, so I'm going to leave them there because I don't want to destroy it. It's not really my machine. I'm just reconditioning it. So then the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I get rid of all this dust. Clean it real good. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with a brush. This one will be good enough. And really get rid of any of that dust in here. And look, this is an old thread. Get rid of that. And you don't have to make it real spotless. You just want to clean it real good. And then where you're going to put oil is in this track. Once I clean it, then I'm going to put oil on that track. Okay, so let me go ahead and keep cleaning this. I'm just basically want to clean all the dust under here. And then I'm going to figure out, see if I can loosen that up. So I may have to do a little more digging in here. And that closes. Okay, so let me go and do a little more, figure out why this needs to drop and it's not dropping. So I'm going to figure that out and I'll be back. Okay, so I had to completely take the bottom off of the machine. This part, and I got screws in there. This part, oh, I'm missing a screw. Okay, let me put it there. This part was right here. Okay, so I removed that to expose this area. Remember, we couldn't get this down. This is the sewing and darning foot. This is what moves the feed dogs. So if I bring it up, so hopefully you can see it. See this feed dog? When I move it, see how it moves? Okay, it goes up and down, up and down. That feed dog is going up and down. Just look at move. Now if I push this down, this lever right here, push it down, that disengages the feed dog, so now I know it won't, actually it's moving. Once I assemble, I'll check and see, but it wasn't coming down. This piece wasn't coming down, and I was able to loosen it up. So we'll have to figure out why the feed dogs are moving, because usually they don't move. But this lever was stuck. So the way that I unstuck it was with WD-40. Be careful with this stuff on these more modern machines. So I'm only spraying this where there is metal to loosen things up. And then I'm just doing a real good clean. Okay. Don't know what this is. Trying to figure out what this is. I think maybe, I don't know. I have no clue what this cord is for. I'm not, you know, I don't do this for a living. This is just a hobby. So I'm not going to venture to figure that out. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And then here, there's a gear right there. If you see that. See if I can bring you in. There's this gear. This is a gear. Now you can see it. See that gear? So I'm cleaning that up. And once I get it all clean, because I don't want to, usually ideally if I did this, if I knew what I was doing, I would disassemble this, soak it in WD-40 or kerosene, get it real clean, get all the old grease off, and then put new grease. Since I'm not an expert, I'm doing the best I can. Just gonna clean it as much as I can. with this brush, and then I'm going to put new grease on there. There's a little dab. Don't put too much grease. Okay. I'm going to see if I can get in here in the grooves and really clean this. So far it's looking good. So I'm going to keep cleaning this up. I'm going to put a little bit of grease. Let me see where I put my grease at. Here it is. So once I get it real clean, I'll put a little bit of this clear synthetic grease, just a little tab on there. And you don't want to put oil. Don't put any oil in there. So I'm going to clean it up. Let me clean it a little more, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I'm going to put oil and then assemble it back together. Okay, for my level of expertise, this is as good as it gets. So I hope you can see that well. So I'm going to put some oil, and let me see where I have a mess here. Like I said, I had people come over and I fixed their machine, so we had everything out. Okay, I like this little thing. So I'm going to go ahead, and anything that moves will get a little drop of oil, not too much. Not with these machines. So right here, this thing that moves, oop, let me bring you up. So this thing that moves right here, it moves back and forth in a little cylinder. Let's put a little oil there. Okay, so that way it won't get stuck again. Now moving here, this is plastic, so it doesn't need oil. Put a little bit of oil, let's see, right here maybe. A little bit of oil in this groove here. Yep. See a little dust right there. Okay, got it out. A little oil here. Doesn't require too much oil. And then I'm going to put just a tad little grease, just a little bit right there. Whenever I see gears, I put a little bit of grease. And I hope I'm not in the way. Just take a little bit on my finger like this. Oops. A little bit on my finger like that, and just put it on there. Perfect. Not too much grease. Okay. Now we're going to assemble this. Actually, before I assemble, I need to clean this off. So let me go ahead and clean this, and I'll be back. So I cleaned this spotless, as you can see, and I'm ready to put it together. So I'm going to put the door there, and then put this in. And I'm just going to use my drill. It makes it a lot easier. And here's the next one. Okay, you don't want to over tighten that. And let's test the door. It opens up. Okay, so now I need to clean this. That machine fits in here. And I need to clean this out real good, and then we're going to assemble it. Okay, so it's nice and clean. Look how spotless that looks. And I'm going to take my sewing machine, and I'm going to set it in here. And there was two bolts. There were two bolts here, and then I'm going to bolt it in the bottom, and I shall be back. So I already had, and I just need to put these two screws, and a screw in the middle, and that put it together. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and concentrate putting this together here. And right here, hopefully you can see it, I'm just going to put a couple of drops of oil in the area. See how this kind of moves against that area there? So that just needs a little drop of oil. Not too much. 1 drop would be enough. There. Enough. That's enough oil. And that's going to be good. Now you're going to put your needle bar to the topmost position. I already cleaned this part. And actually I didn't clean this part. Let me go ahead and clean this real quick. And what I do is I use alcohol. Wet it with alcohol, and then I just clean it with a rag. The alcohol breaks any old grease that may be there, and then it makes it nice and clean. So we're going to drop this in there. I know I may be in your way, so I apologize for that. But it needs to be seated. See if I can show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to see if I can seat this in. See how it seats in? It just drops in there. And it makes it a lot easier if you have your machine like I have it facing down on the table. Then you're going to drop this here. Make sure these are out of the way. Okay, that seems to have dropped in position. Oh, let's look and see this. Okay. Looks like it's okay. I already cleaned this up. Drop this in here. And let's see. Did I have anything else on here? No, I think that was it. So there, that's done. And then now right here, there was 2 screws that I took out, which was this one. Now let's make sure it closes. Yeah, voila, it's closed. So now let's go ahead and address this area here. So I'm not gonna do, this is not like my regular antique machine, so I'm not gonna do a lot other than maybe put a couple of drops. It looks pretty clean. Something's catching here, so I think we're gonna need some oil in some areas here. So I will put oil. See if you can see that. This looks pretty nasty here. So let me go ahead and try it. Let me go ahead and use my air can. Okay. So I'm hoping you can see a little better. And see where this moves? Right there. See where metal moves? Metal to metal. So I'm going to put a little bit of oil there, in there, and inside the tube. And that helps loosen it up. And something's catching on here. If you notice in here, see what this metal meets metal? Right there. Gonna put some drops of oil in that area. Something's making it catch. And not know why. So we need to take this top plate off. And if you see there's a screw there and a screw here, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. I'm going to see if I can remove that and we shall be back. Okay, so I took it off and let's see what we see here. Feels like there's something in there that it's getting hard to move, but let's go ahead and put some oil. There's a little oil groove right in there. There's a hole. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a hole in there. And usually when you see holes is where you put oil in. Okay. And that's working very nicely. You don't want to put any oil in these gears. Actually, you want to put grease in those gears. So I'm going to clean it up, the gears a little. Like I said, I don't want to put too much grease. Just going to clean it up. And then I'm going to take some grease with my finger and just put some new grease on there. Let's see if I identify any other area that I feel like I need to have some oil. I think needs a little oil in here, this area. There's a little hole over here that I put grease on. Put a little grease there. I think I'm done with this part. I'm not going to go into too much in there. So I'm going to put the cover back on and then we will put, I'm going to thread it and let's see if it sews. Okay, so far I didn't break it. So it turned on. And let's go ahead and put back the feet. I got them over here. Let's put this back. And now we're going to go and see if I did a good job fixing this or we're going to scrap it. Here's a foot. And then I got to find my bobbin. Where did I put my bobbin? Oh, there it is. Open it up. We're going to put our bobbin. And usually, since I don't have the manual, I think we want to feed it this way. And then we're going to put it in here. Close the lid. Okay. Well, let me get a thread. So I have a yellow thread on the bottom, on the bobbin, and a white thread on top. And we're going to have to figure out how to thread this because I have no manual. When you have a machine that you have no idea how to thread, you start from where the spool is. So the spool is over here. Then I imagine it goes up and over and under and over. So it went up, I brought it down here, and I don't know, and it doesn't even have how to, sometimes the machine will have a guide on the lid to how to do it, but it doesn't. So I went over here, let me see, let's do that again, up and over here. So up here, over, under, and up. So it went over here, down here, under, I hope you can see that, over here, inside this lever, down, and then right here it's catching at the bottom. So I'm catching it right at the bottom. Oh, I forgot to put my needle in. And let's put the needle with the flat part towards the back. And then now I can tighten it. Okay. Hopefully I can see this so I can thread it. Yeah, I can thread that. Okay. And now we're just going to catch something's not right here. Okay, I figured what happened. When I put this back together, I put it backwards. In other words, I put it this way instead of having the bumps towards you. So these bumps have to be towards you, and that's why it wasn't working. And that latch is there, this latch is there, and then now we should have no issue with getting this in. There, perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and thread it again. So hopefully this time it's correct. And that's why I always, when I always tell you to take pictures as you disassemble things. And I didn't take pictures how I put stuff together. Okay, so it did pick it up. Okay. So now let's try and see how well our stitches are going to come out. I got two thin cloth here. I got it to straight stitch. Two, and let's bring this all the way to straight stitch. Actually, bring it right there. We'll test to the reverse, the forward. Perfect. Now let's evaluate our stitch. Actually, it looks really good. You don't see. Let me see if I can zoom you in. Notice I have two color thread. I have white and yellow. You do not see any white thread peeking this way on the around where the yellow is, so that means the upper tension is good. You do not see any yellow thread peeking through these stitch lines, so that means the bobbin tension is good. So that means that the lock where the two meet is in between the fabric. The next thing you need to do is open it up and make sure there's a nice tight weave, and you can see that it's a nice tight weave. So that's how you refurbish one of these machines. This is a nice heavy duty machine. If you can find one with all the pieces, it's good. Just be careful, because Montgomery Ward are machines that are not made anymore, so you really cannot get replacement parts for it. You may get the replacement part for the foot, like I was fortunate enough to find that, but you may not, and without the foot pedal you really cannot work this machine. But I hope you like this video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.